Conservatism has been a way of life in my family. When I was just a teenager, my dad gave me Barry Goldwater's book, Conscience of a Conservative. I was probably 12 or 13 years old. I read it and it became a lifelong ambition to me to read all about the conservative tenets. And ever since then, I've tried to apply that in every job that I've had, from the personal family values, the business and financial values, but more importantly, the political values that we should all live by, which is limited government, individual rights, and business freedom.
Representative Clemmer.
I think being a conservative is, I agree, it is a way of life. And for me, it's been a pattern of voting. We have not only asked for candidates to be conservative and help them be elected, but I carried the strongest, most conservative pro-life bill in the nation. And we got it passed. Folks, we didn't have a majority Republican on that public health committee. We worked with Democrats, and we got one or two of them, and then they changed their vote. And then we'd work with one or two, and they changed their vote. But we got that passed, the most conservative bill in the nation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hill, let's begin with you on this one. What do you think about lobbyists and special interest and the role they play in politics?
Well, it's changed over the years. I can remember when I was in my mid-20s and I worked for the U.S. Senate Banking Committee when I was a young man. It was a very kind of small part of the day to see lobbyists trying to represent companies or points of view in the halls of the Congress. Now, when you visit Washington, it's really like the whole city has been turned into a large corporate professional organization, and it's become much more a part of life in Washington, much more extensive. And so I think they've gotten too big in many, many ways.
Representative Clemmer.
Would you repeat the question?
I will. What do you think about lobbyists and special interest and the role that they play in politics?
Well, the sad fact of the matter is that government is too large. One representative doesn't have an idea of how big the government actually is. I'm not sure the president has any idea how big the government is. So it creates a void there so that lobbyists come with information. Representatives need to know that information, and so they take the information, but it's from a biased source. They have too much power, but the reason they have too much power is that our government is too big, and the role of government needs to be shrunk.
And Colonel Reynolds.
The question is, what do you think about lobbyists and what should be done with them or about them? I truly believe in my heart the reason that this private option got passed is because of lobbyists. It's not because of what they're doing for the American people. Lobbyists overall undermine what the people want in this country. That's why they're there. They're there to buy votes. They're there to sway votes against what they promised they would do for us. Thank you.
All right, we move on to the next round. In this round, there'll be one question. You'll have 1 minute to respond. All right, and the question deals with the job environment right now. And so what are the most important things we as a country and state can do or not do to create an environment in which private industry jobs can grow? Representative Clemmer.
Well, I think one of the things we need to do is stop the overregulation of our country. I talk to people every day, small business people. We sometimes think that regulations are only about great big factories, but regulations are hitting our builders. OSHA regulations, my builder said, we need to shut down. We need to leave the work site if we know OSHA's coming, because we're going to get a fine that day, because they will search until they find something we've done wrong. A developer in my district saying, I don't know that I'll ever develop another neighborhood again. It's been a nightmare. He said, I've invested everything I have, everything in savings, and I may not come out ahead on this because ADEQ, sending down from carrying out the EPA mandates, has come in to what he feels like trying to put him out of business. Well, you may not think of a developer as being important, but he hires a lot of carpenters. He hires and contracts out with a lot of homeowners. And that's what brings business. When you build homes, you bring business to your area.
Well, as one member of 435, you don't have a lot of power. But what you can do is bring a message. And the message is that we need to lower regulation We need to defund Obamacare. That's the very first thing that we need to do. That'll help small businesses grow in this state. But more importantly, we need to keep the federal government off the backs of businesses. And it takes one voice to get another voice to get another voice. And as a commander, I brought many people together from all walks of life in order to accomplish a mission. I'm tired of our representatives going up there and going to the other side of the aisle and compromising instead of bringing them to our side of the aisle. And that's what I tend to do when I go there. Thank you.
Couple of examples. When I was about 26 years old and worked on the Senate Banking Committee in Washington, one of the first things I tried to do as a young, naive 26-year-old was privatize Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. What if I'd been successful? Holy cow. It would have saved us trillions of dollars. But you know, we got Democrats and Republicans to vote for that bill, and we actually got Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac reined in for a short period of time until the Clinton administration. Then when I worked for George Bush on the White House staff for a couple of years on regulatory reform, we stopped the EPA from imposing Superfund regulation on private businesses that took back a piece of land that was in a Superfund site. How did we do it? We went to the Hill and we said, we've got to have a change here. You're crushing American jobs and American business. So I agree with Colonel Reynolds. One person can make a major difference on regulatory issues by going and picking out a narrow slice, not a broad slice, and peel them off one at a time on behalf of workers and owners of business in the country.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to go to